Okay, Dave 187. I'm at the bottom of the hill here in Deer Creek. Now, supposedly the only evidence we have of the murder is where the guy says just for a little bit down the hill. And I can tell you right now, walking up this hill, down this hill, is a long hill. The other thing I noticed about this walk, and I don't know if the girls made this walk or not, I don't know where the bodies were found because there's a fence now around the Man on High Bridge. But one thing I can tell you, it's very isolated. There's nobody around here. And I don't know if a scream would be heard or not. Now, there's some houses up there on that hill over there in the distance. But for the most part, yeah, this would be a good place to do a murder. Now, what I was going to reenact was called a bridge kill. And a bridge kill is when you basically scare an enemy or scare a target and funnel them toward a collection point like a bridgehead. If you can envision the bridgehead in Stand By Me, what you do is you have a person waiting under the bridge. You have what looks like an innocent bystander on the other side of a bridge, and then you start chasing the person from the far side of the bridge. And first you start walking, and the person starts walking faster. Then the chaser runs, so the person starts running. So what you want is by the time the target gets to the bridge, they're completely exhausted. And the footing is going to be very difficult. I don't know if you remember Stand By Me, but Stand By Me, he's running on the bridge and his feet are going through the railroad ties. A normal chase situation, they're trying to encourage a break of a knee or break of an ankle or some kind of, now I'm going to be walking uphill and huffing and puffing. But he could have said down the hill right here. Who knows? The bodies were found on this guy's name, which is Logan, but he's been ruled out by the police. But as people are funneled, you basically have this innocent bystander who's an accomplice, who is, as the kids are running this way, you say, down the hill, and you funnel them into an area like this, steep incline, where they can't get out and they can't get away. So then it's just a matter of running them down. And the kids were, sorry, I'm out of shape. Kids were found about a mile, or excuse me, half a mile from here. Now, the alternative is it's a finder situation. If it's one, the interesting thing about the case is I confirm this. No reconstruction of the crime. Odd. No public reconstruction of the crime. No release of forensic evidence like footprints, like tire tracks, satellite imagery of the place where I parked earlier. No description of the wounds. No working theory as far as what the murder weapon was. Normally they would say strangled, or they would say stabbed, or they would say shot, because that allows a whole bunch of people to be able to help in the investigation. They can come out, look for bullet holes. They can come out and look for blood stains. They can come out and look for a disposed of knife. So there's all sorts of ways people can help in the investigation if the police release that information. Same thing with autopsy. Every time I see an autopsy not released, I get worried because there's so many clues to the autopsy. Whether they're poisoned beforehand, whether they were tortured before their death. Rape kit wasn't released. So we don't know if the girls were raped. Being 13 and 14, that would be easy evidence to release. They just haven't said one way or the other. The other thing is disposition of the bodies. Where did the bodies go? What was the time of death? All these things we don't know. And why wouldn't you publish that? Why wouldn't? The other thing that bothered me was no release of statements by the parents to help in the investigation for 2.5 months. I'm not saying the parents were involved. I'm just saying that the police obviously wanted to handle the investigation in a controlled manner. And this, I'm sorry, but all these metadata things, and this isn't proof, this is metadata. But the proof here is this is the finder situation where you have one person on the lookout for the kids. This is the Omaha, Boys Town situation. One kid on the lookout for the kids, finds the kids, scoops them up, puts them in a van. They're on their way to Lafayette or some party somewhere 20 minutes away. They're raped all night, and then the next day they're disposed of. And they're found here somewhere around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Around 12 is supposedly when they were found, but 2 p.m. is when they announced it. But we don't really know for sure because of the lack of evidence. There was also 100,000 tips in this case, which is an amazing number of tips. The police should release the best tips. The FBI was also involved, so Andrew McCabe was working this one as well. This reminds me of all the conspirators intervening together, giving immunity to everybody just for turning over their laptop. We found the Blackberries and the stolen laptops at the Hawkshead Drive. The Marine testified to that. And oh, by the way, we're just going to forget about it. So this has all the makings with the cover-up. I'm not talking about the crime scene itself, but with the cover-up, it has all the makings of a finder-type killing. And these were the finder-type killings in Long Island. And there's been also drug cover-up killings that are different than this. So I'm not putting it in that category. I'm putting it because the drug cover-up killings and the money laundering killings and organ harvesting killings, they all have slightly different signature, but this has the makings of the finder type killing. And you can see right now, if they had to go down this ravine, it's a long way down. You would have footprints all along. There was a chase, you'd have footprints. If they were forced at gunpoint, why wouldn't the police just say that? Why would they withhold that information? I looked on Webb sleuths. Webb sleuths had some information, a lot of speculation because there's no solid evidence to go on. Why wouldn't you release that information to the public? Who are we protecting? Who are we hiding? So that's my final report here. Unfortunately, we got a fence over there, so I can't get to the bridge, but it looks just like the Stand By Me bridge. And the idea is the same. You funnel the folks into the far side. You bring them over when they're exhausted, they're injured, and then you have them go that way, down the hill. That's what he said. And then, let's say this is the girl. The Garrett goes over their neck, around their neck. The person clutches for the rope. Now they're silenced. And another twist around the Garrett, pull back on the Garrett. Now they're choked. Now they can't talk. So that's, and then the reason why that is used is because it's first a silent kill, and then you control the time of death. So if you are in the organ harvesting situation, you control the time of death. And until the police release time of death, if there's any asphyxiation, if the hyoid bone is crushed, any of those things that happened in the Long Island case, it's very similar to the Shannon Gilbert case, to be honest with you. It wasn't until much later that we found out the hyoid bone was crushed and she was strangled before she was drowned. And it was, again, a day later kind of thing. Now, the body wasn't found until much later, but she was raped and tortured for about, a 24-hour period of time at least. And that kind of fits this finder's case mode.